Welcome to the Predictive Playbook. I am your host, John Ryan, and in the background, our timer is still going, but I'm going to turn that off. And there we go. That's the problem with having live YouTube sometimes, folks. But anyway, I am John Ryan of Sportsmemo.com. This is the Major League Baseball and a little look at the NHL, but mainly Major League Baseball today with Sports Memo's own Don Buster of Buster Sports. His friends call him Buster, and I'm privileged to say that I am a good friend of his. Welcome to the show, Buster. How are things going for you this week?
Well, truthfully, I'm a big Montreal fan, so we'll be talking about that yesterday. As far as I'm doing well gambling, so I guess that's always good. But I'm a little sleepless night last night, I'd have to say, John. And yes, thanks for having me on here on Thursdays. And I'm not sure what you really want to talk about first. I would like, maybe we could put off the hockey till a little bit later. I'd get myself into the groove of things here because I might say a lot of stuff I shouldn't be saying on, especially if we're live. I don't want to be cursing or anything.
We can just not include it, and we can talk about it another time.
No, I think we can, but maybe after we do a few other things. Hopefully you had a good night last night, John.
Actually, I was 0-2. I was 0-2. My prop bets, though, came through big time. Manny's Pub Show was 7-1 the night before. And I haven't tabulated what everybody's pick was last night yet, but 7-1 the day before for the pub best bets. I was 3-0 with the prop bets yesterday. I was on Montreal. It was a value bet. What can I say? Over time,
for sure. Yeah.
As you and I know, you make those bets steadily. You have a very good chance of profiting. You just don't lay minus 210 in anything. We saw Baltimore the other night as a plus 300 dog defeat the Houston Astros on the road. So
not just the other night, John. All three games. They beat them all three games, and I think last night they were as high as 375 or something like that, right? So, again, as you know, I'm not one of these guys. NHL hockey, MLB, I'm laying minus 160 in it. I very seldom do that unless I can really think there's a ton of value there. I will just pass on the game for the most part. So, I never lay a lot because eventually, as you and I both know, you lose those games laying 240 or 220. It's going to take you a few games to get that back, and you never want to run behind. It's hard enough to get these wins. You don't want to have to get 3 wins to make up for 1.
It's so true. Nothing truer said in sports betting with moneyline sports of hockey and baseball. No question about it.
Yeah.
So we do have, I know you have a free pick in the Miami versus Philadelphia game that is tonight. And we have a pitching matchup tonight with Pablo Lopez, 4-4, 287, is playing or going against Zach Eflin, who's 2-6 with a 4.20 ERA. Early line here is roughly Philly as a 125 favorite. Over under is 7.5, and it's going to be a lot cooler in Philadelphia. There'll be a balmy 84 degrees Fahrenheit instead of a 100 or whatever it was at game time. It was pretty brutal last night. It was almost too hot to swim, Buster. It was really that hot here in Philadelphia. The humidity just eats you up. But last night, the Phillies are just part of a collection of teams, maybe not including the Mets, who are leading the division in the National League East, who are just unable to get any win streaks going. They start and then sputter and start and sputter. And last night, Aaron Nola, who was coming off a tremendous start, somehow inexplicably went 4 2/3, 9 hits, 7 earned, but he did have 11 Ks on 98 pitches and threw 70 strikes. So he just got hit around. The overall performance, I don't think his pitching wasn't that bad. He just got hit. And maybe that's the baseball gods getting him back for being so good the week before. That, I don't know. But I do know the Phillies have 21 blown saves on the season. Their franchise record for a season is 25. So that end of the pitching in the bullpen is just horrible. I mean, you just don't know what you're going to get. It was I'll even tell you this, Buster. Last Saturday, I had the Phillies as a 4-unit bet for my clients, plus 220 against DeGrom. They score in the top of the 8th to take a 3-2 lead, and they blow it.
Yeah.
And you could see it coming, but for some reason I didn't, go out in the backyard and, take a swim or anything. I sat there and I endured the pain.
Well, sometimes we do that in this business, John, and it happens a lot when you endure the pain, especially in baseball. There's lots of times. How about last night? Like, if we're just, I know it's off topic quickly here, but even last night, how about if you're a LA Angels bettor? You know what I mean?
Wow.
Like, you get 7 runs in the top of the 9th to win. I tell you, you go buy a lottery ticket then when that kind of stuff happens to you, especially if you have a big bet on that game.
You just reminded me of something I wanted to mention on the show. My pinned tweet on Twitter today is a fun survey, and it has to do with the Cubs last night scoring 7 runs in the first inning, and then
there's another game
unanswered.
There's another game. You got 7-0. You're thinking, if you're a Cub, okay, just write that off. But both me and you both know better, because I've seen this so many times of having big plays. I've had games just like the Angels the other. I remember I had Milwaukee years ago. They were playing Cincinnati. They were up like 9-1 in the 8th. I think since he scored 4 and 5, I ended up losing like 10-9. Those things happen, especially in Major League Baseball. They do happen. But it's funny how it happened a couple times in the same night. And it's also funny, John, to me, and probably to a lot of other people that follow baseball, that all of a sudden seems to be a lot of runs lately. I wonder why that is. Maybe something to do with some pitchers being checked. I don't know.
Well,
I'm not accusing anybody of anything, but you see Atlanta with 20, White Sox, I think they got 13 last night. The Angels put up a bunch. So
I have to say, Buster, I think at the customs for foreign, people bring home wine and stuff, so they've put an increased alert on foreign substances, and I think it's prevented them from entering the country. Yes. And that, in turn, is why we're having so many more runs. I'm obviously kidding, but just the word foreign substance to me just is like, what?
Well, you know what? I'm kind of shocked that they actually went to do this. I mean, this isn't anything new. I mean, it's been going on forever in baseball. So I am a little shocked. I know you guys have been talking about it on Manny's Pub. So again, I shouldn't get off topic here, but it is interesting. And it's something for everybody watching to look out about. Guys that are known, let's just say guys that are known, maybe not known abusers. I shouldn't say that, but guys that maybe their spin rate was a little higher than it should be. Maybe just check into those guys when you could look on their pitching stats on MLB and maybe you might just want to see, and we might get a lot more overs moving forward, I would have to think, because it sure looks that way just in this small sample size.
Yeah, I have to agree. And to follow up on that tweet, if you go to my Twitter page, at John Ryan Sports 1, it's the first tweet. It's the first of my feed. It's the pinned one, so you can find it easy. And in light of Chicago scoring 7 in the first and then losing by 8 and having 15 unanswered runs scored against them, the question is, since 2004, which team has blown the most 7-run leads in Major League Baseball? Which team has been up 7 runs or more and lost the game, and how many times? So there's 4 teams you can pick from. And then at 4:00 this afternoon at Manny's Pub, which promises to be a really, really good show with a Friday feel to it, since the holiday's right around the corner, we will talk about it and we'll reveal the answer. So I'll give you a hint. You're going to be shocked when you find out who the team is. I guarantee you will be shocked.
That is an interesting survey, so that'll be good. I'll make sure I retweet that out to my followers.
Yeah.
So
it's happened 75 times in Major League Baseball since 2004. It's happened.
Well, truthfully, that doesn't surprise me, because we just talked about that. Like, it doesn't surprise me. Anybody that's watched a sport as long as me and you have, and it's funny. If you're sitting there and you're with your buddies at a bar or whatever, and you're like, oh, all right, got the Cubs, whatever. And as a gambler, okay, That's all right. It's like the
No
first
lead is
couple.
safe.
It's the first couple innings, and your buddy is like, "Oh, Buster, you bet that game? Oh, you're a winner!" And you just give them that look, like, "Are you kidding me?" Like, and you have to teach people that it's never over till it's over, right? As that's the old Babe Ruth saying. It's never over till it's over. Or it's never over till the fat lady sings, or
that's
whatever.
Yogi Berra.
Yogi Berra. There you go. That's
and
you probably can't say that anymore because with all the politically correct stuff. I'm not sure.
I guess that's true. I guess it's a shame. It's a shame. I mean, it's not a mockery.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's not a mockery at all, in my opinion. But
no,
my favorite one of Yogi is 90% of the game is half mental. That's my favorite Yogiism. 90% of the game is half mental. And apparently that was first uttered to Mickey Mantle, to which he did one of these.
Yeah, exactly.
Can't imagine what being on that team was like. You probably had to like beer and like to party.
Right, exactly.
Which was the norm. But anyway, let's get to the game today. I'll give you a little background here. The Phillies did lose last night. They were winning 4-1 in the second. But then Aaron Noah got hit pretty hard in the fifth. Inexplicably, he was left in the game. I'm telling you, maybe you'll touch upon it. Girardi is making me think like, now I know why he's not the Yankees manager anymore. It's almost like Doc Rivers coming from the Clippers, and you're reliving the same mistakes that were done on the West Coast now on the East Coast. And some of these pitching decisions have been real head scratchers, and I don't know what to think of the Phillies. If there is a team right now, I would play first five. And I've never played first five. Not one time in my life, Buster, have I played first five on a game that I bet.
Really?
But this team would be possibly the first one. But that's only if you're on the Phillies today. So let's see who you like in this matchup and go from there.
Obviously, I don't think you checked my free play out because as far as myself, for the last probably 3 or 4 years, I've been betting a lot of first five because in Major League Baseball now, you just can't trust these bullpens. We saw last night with the Yankees. So it's funny how you say you should be betting Phillies the first five. My free play today is Miami in the first five, and they're getting a little plus. They're getting a little plus money, plus 110. You got Lopez going. He's 4-4 with a 2.87 ERA. I like this Miami team. They're obviously a few years away, but they have some nice young guns pitching. Between Lopez here, they got Alcantara's going to be really good. Rogers. So they got a nice young team. What I like here is that Philadelphia now, after losing that game, mentally, as we had talked about, you're saying the old Yogi Berra saying, mentally Philadelphia is not doing too well. They've won they're 4-9 in their last 13 games. They seem to be going in the wrong direction here. And I like a young team, and Miami has struggled offensively. There's no doubt about that. But I like a young team like that. After I think they got about 18 hits last night. Now they have probably that could be, arguably, might be their best starter going. And I'm getting plus 110 for the first half against Zach Eflin, who is very good at home. His home splits are good. But again, it's the value to me. You're getting plus money with Lopez. Now, Lopez has faced Philadelphia already this year. He's pitched 7 innings, allowed a couple runs and 4 hits. Eflin's faced Miami twice this year. He's allowed 6 runs in 12 innings against Miami. I know that's all in the past, but those are some things you might want to look at, add it to your handicap and along with splits or whatever. Just have a feeling that the momentum and the price is pretty good for first five. Don't like dealing with bullpens. And it's funny how you said, John, that you never have bet first five. I just started betting first five about 3 years ago, like I said, only because I was getting beat up in these bullpens. And I noticed, all of us who do this for a living, we keep stats and we keep how we do personally. And it's been just, even this year, I was betting first five in April, and then I started playing some total games thinking that the bullpens might have settled in a bit. yeah, I was wrong there. So I'm back to first fives, and I'm having way more success in Major League Baseball the last 3 weeks. So anyways, for a free play, first five, Miami, and they're getting plus 110 with Lopez going.
I love it. I love the play. I love Lopez too. He's one of my favorite pitchers on that team. And don't kid yourself. That team is in last place in the National League East, but don't be surprised if they make a run at some point in this second half of the season. They're very young, but their pitching staff is extraordinarily talented.
It's very good. Yeah.
Alcantara, you mentioned a lot of pitchers with some of the highest spin rates, and I'm not worried about the spin rates coming down either because of that imported substance or whatever it calls. Hey, Buster, seriously, I'm going to have to vent on Manny's Pub today with Tony and Rob, because why can't they just say illegal substance? Why is it foreign substance? I mean, there's nothing foreign about putting pine tar on a ball or using sunscreen or
Vaseline. Vaseline was a good old one for those knuckleball guys back in the day.
Doesn't come from Europe.
Phil Necro and all those guys had the ball dancing all over the place. It was quite interesting if you ever got to see behind the home plate watching those Charlie Huff, and these are all guys I'm mentioning that most of your audience don't even know who I'm talking about. But anyways, back and again, there you go. Back then, everybody knew these guys were doctoring the ball, and it was almost kind of, it was part of the game. So I'm not too. I understand why they're doing it, because this year how many no hitters have we had this year already, which is kind of
7
unheard of
combined.
Yeah, unheard of lately, right? Yep. And if you want to even throw Mad Bum's game in there, they didn't give him credit for that no hitter, but I think it was because it was 7 innings, which is, to me, is kind of BS. You should give that guy the no hitter there. But anyways, that's just my opinion.
That's another thing I need to vent on, because it's rare that I do the venting on the show, especially Manny's Pub show. But Bumgarner pitched 7 innings. The game was defined before it started as 7 innings. In my opinion, that is a no-hitter, and it counts. Just like Pedro Martinez pitched a perfect game through 9, and because it went into extra innings, he lost it. So he doesn't get credit for a perfect game. No. I mean, granted, it's not a perfect game, but I mean, for 9 innings, he should get credit for a 9-inning perfect game.
Yeah, especially in perfect games. Those guys go down in history. There's not too many perfect games going on, right? So, yeah, you're right on that Martinez one. But baseball's always been that a little bit of a different animal as far as their ruling and what they do. And believe me, I'm old school about everything, and you know that, John. But I've been these last maybe 3, 4 years, 5 years, I'm not sure. But these umpires, that's another thing. We're getting off subject, but that's another thing you should talk about, the Manny's Pub, because I firmly believe I was watching a couple games last night in between watching my Montreal team not played well. They played great, but anyways, the strike zone. I'm not really one for technology, being old school. I was the last guy to get the card, so because I would tell the bank card for the teller saying, "Listen, I get this bank card, you're going to be out of a job. So you want, don't push these bank cards and debit cards on, because you're going to be out of a job." Right now, I know that's going back 10 years, 15 years ago. But I mean, I was one of the last cards. My bank forced me to get a debit card, right? But all I'm saying is even though how old school I really am, and even in life and stuff, I tell you, I want robot umpires for behind home plate. The calls, and I know it's always been that way, John, but it just seems to be getting worse and worse and worse. Like there's, anyways, that's a little rant, but you guys can talk about that
I was watching
on the show as well.
I was watching Mississippi State against Vanderbilt last night, and that poor home plate umpire was really struggling. And, I mean, the pitches were it was probably the worst I've seen, and I feel sorry for the guy. A lot of pressure on you in a national championship game with those two teams playing. Fortunately, it had nothing to do with the outcome. I guess it might have, but I mean, the starter for Mississippi State actually is a kid from Valencia, Pennsylvania, had a no-hitter through 7, and the manager took him out. And the kid actually had no problem.
Pitch count too high?
It was 92 going into the 8th.
For a young kid, that's probably a lot, yeah.
And that's smart. I mean, so many times we see young kids go 130 for no reason at all, and
And then they're going to see Dr. Andrews for Tommy John 2 weeks later. So yeah, you got to watch especially the way these kids throw the ball now and everything. It's important not to to add a lot of pitches to them. But although in saying that, back in the day, you get guys like Nolan Ryan throwing 140, give me the ball, I'll throw another 130 tomorrow, right? So it's just a different age we live in, John. That's all,
It's really the pitches after 100 that cause the damage. That's where the injuries occur because of the fatigue. The ligaments are fatigued, the muscle is fatigued. They're all connected, and that's where bad things can happen. Right. But let's move on to the free play. This is kind of like the MLB angle of the day, similar to the NBA angle of the day that Wager Talk uses on that great Wager Talk NBA tip-off show, which is equally funny in its own right with Joe Ranieri as the host. This system here goes at 1:07 this afternoon, and it's Seattle 3 games over 500 at Toronto 41-37. You have 2 lefties on the hill, but this system really doesn't care who's on the hill. You're going to bet on home teams using the money line, and the American League guest that they're hosting is batting .250 or lower on the season, and the guest is coming off 3 consecutive games allowing 7 or more runs in each one. 62-26 for 71%. $100 better has made almost $3,000 over the last 5 years. Translates to a 27% ROI. But if our home team is lined as a -150 or greater favorite, the record then goes to 39-9 for 81.2%. The $100 better in this situation, the subset, has averaged a -200 wager, making $23.50 and a 26% ROI over the last 5 seasons. All told, it says to bet Toronto today at 1:07. Well, actually before 1:07, that's when it starts. But bet them today in the early matinee game with them and the Seattle Mariners. So that was a good one. I don't like laying wood, but when I have the proof of the pudding behind it, it makes it a lot easier to go and do that. And that system is actually pretty good with the run line as well. A little bit less profitability, but I think in this situation where you're getting that 39-9, I think I'm right there at the window here for a 3-unit bet on Toronto. As you can see, guys, I have my promo running down the bottom. I'm not very good at promoting myself, but I'm Sportsmemo and Wager Talk are giving me lessons on how to do that, so I should be better by the end of July. But I had one hell of an NFL and college football season last year, and they're trying to get everybody to get on board now. It's $1,200 regular price for both seasons, and you can get it now for $480, which is a 60% discount through Sunday midnight. Now, what also they're telling me is that starting next week, that discount is reduced to 50%, which will be $600. So if you act between now and Sunday, you save yourself $120 plus the 60%. And I don't think there's a better deal, honestly, to get any one of our NFL or college football subscriptions at Sportsmemo or Wager Talk for just $480. So I hope you guys take advantage of that. As you can see, I was 65.8% last year in the NFL, and then the last 35 college football and NFL plays combined was 73. So it was pretty good run last year, and I expect it to continue again this year. And then don't forget, Don has Buster. Why did I call you Don for? Because I looked at your Don and I said Don. Buster has his going too, and that is his 7-day. So this is more of a test drive. So there's 2 different types of subscriptions, and his is a 7-day for only $39. And again, that's just too cheap for you guys to ignore. It's $39. I mean, you're gonna survive if you spend $39, and you're not spending it. You're investing in yourself to have a guy like Buster with all his experience and expertise work for you. It's like hiring him, and he's working for you now. And he's going to do his best to deliver as many winners as possible. And I can't emphasize this enough. There's people who buy 5%ers, and they buy only the 5%ers, thinking that, this is the golden fleece of our bets. Well, I'm here to tell you that 5%ers lose. And they just lose over time. They do well, but there's going to be times where you're going to buy one and it loses. And the worst thing you can do is shake your head and say, that guy's an idiot. He don't know what he's doing. I'm not going to buy him ever again. That's the biggest mistake you can make at Sportsmemo and Wager Talk. Your best bet is to get a test drive, a 7-day subscription like is being offered for Buster's service, or a 30-day, or in my case, a season. Then you find out how professional bettors do their work and do the research, and then you start understanding why we're telling you that this is a 3-unit bet or a 4-unit bet or a 5-unit bet. And to me and Buster, I know he's on the same page, as is everybody. It's the why. It's the why am I doing this? Anybody can just put out picks, and have no research behind it. I think Toronto's going to win today. Well, why? Oh, they're just going to win. They're a better team than Seattle. That's not good enough for us, So I hope you guys take advantage of this, and I hope it motivates you to go over to sportsmemo.com and get our subscriptions today. So I'll take down the promos, and I do the promos better when I'm actually sharing myself with someone like yourself, Buster, because then I don't feel like I'm boasting. But you know what? It's not boasting if it's fact, and those
are some hell of a good streaks that you got going in NFL. So definitely you want to get, especially with NFL, want to get on somebody that's really good in that. As far as I know, we're running a little out of time, I see here, but I guess we should talk about Montreal. A lot of people know that I am
only if it's not going to require you to go to your therapist.
No, not yet. Maybe me. Again, for me, I've seen a few Stanley Cups with Montreal. A lot of Montreal fans have not, who were born after '93. So, anyways, last night was tough. They do get, again though, back in the day, it used to be if you could win on the other team's home ice, then you did something. A lot of series in NHL went 2-2. This is how they go, of course. It goes 2-2, 1-1, 1-1, right? Yep. But the home team would win those two. The other home team would be 2-2 back for Game 5, and you'd land on the Game 7 a lot of times with just the home teams always win. So Montreal hasn't, as they say, gave up serve yet. They had a great game last night. I was quite pleased. Wasn't pleased with the result, but very happy to see that, these guys can more than play with Tampa. A couple things that's going to happen for Game 3 in Montreal tomorrow. Unfortunately, the government is not allowing Montreal they wanted 10,500 fans. That's not going to happen for Game 3. I don't know if it'll change for Game 4. Probably not. So they're only having 3,500. That they're going to be allowed 3,500, but that kind of hurts. What is good though, Montreal gets their coach back from COVID, Descharmes. He's back. Right. Although, I mean, you didn't miss anything with Richardson there. He's been really good, and he will get an NHL coaching job in the very near future. I just want to give out this stat, which is not good for Montreal, but because you always give out stats in this show, and I just want the people watching to hear this stat if they haven't already saw it. Teams in the Stanley Cup Final that are up 2-0. This is in the Stanley Cup Final. Now it's happened 51 times. They're 46-5. That's 90% that Tampa Bay is supposed to win this series. That's not good if you're a Montreal fan like me. But there was 5 times, right? So you have to always try to look on the positive side like we always do. Also, that means Montreal has to beat the Stanley Cup champs 4 to 5 times. And as everybody knows, Tampa very seldom lose. There's lots of stats. When they lose a game, the next game they win, I think they're like 14-0 of late on their next game winning. So that's against Montreal as well. And I think the last time I looked back that Tampa Bay actually lost 4 out of 5 games was in November of 2019. They lost 4 to 5. So you got to go back a couple of years for them to lose 4 to 5. Not to say that it's not possible. If Montreal plays the way they did last night, this series will go long. My worry as a Montreal fan is that, A, we haven't seen what I believe is the best of Tampa Bay. Even though the score was 5-1 the other night, the game one, Montreal was in that game right till the mid-third period. It was 2-1. Last night's game, they get that goal with the .3, which just can't happen if you're Montreal. If you're Montreal, never mind Montreal fan, Montreal, you cannot let that happen. And then just a fluke goal, which, Montreal has took advantage of that. So I keep hearing all these things that maybe Cinderella, the bells rung on them. Well, let's see. Montreal still has to go back to their home court. And let's hope home court, it's home ice, obviously, but they get to go back home. Let's just see if they can come out. What might be a little free play that I'm going to give here. I've been playing them all year to success, although it pushed in game 2. Montreal first period line. It'll be small money, but it was like on the road. It's been plus 160, plus 170, and Montreal's been having great first periods. They're going to have to come out and have a great first period in game 3, and they're going to have to take that lead. Yep. Because if they get behind, Montreal, they're having a hard time scoring. Vasilevsky has outplayed Price. And I said this on Puck Time about a month ago. I kept saying, even though Price has been playing fantastic, he has to play better if that's possible. And I know it's possible because I've seen Carey Price play 10 years ago. It is possible that he plays better. He can't let that shot in, the 1-0 goal. Even that second goal, Carey would normally get that. That play was automatically, that guy had nowhere else to go but across. Carey would have slid over there and was waving at the guy usually instead of being out of position. So, it's easy for me to say sitting here, but I know Carey Price. I know how good he can be, and he has to be shutting these guys out. 1 goal because Montreal's having trouble scoring, and but hopefully they'll get some confidence back going back to Montreal with a little bit of a home crowd. So, anyways,
I like it. My heart's with Montreal, I'll tell you that. And that 3-1 score, as you so eloquently described, was not 3-1. That was a game where certain things happened, and you can't, like you said, you can't let them happen. It's a shoulda, woulda, coulda club,
of course.
And if you're part of that club, you're usually talking about a loss almost entirely.
And that's NHL hockey. I talk about it all the time. And game after game, the best team doesn't always win game after game. Is Tampa the best team? Yeah, they're looking like they are the best team. But you know what? One other thing I'll say, the difference between Tampa Bay compared to even Vegas, Winnipeg, and Toronto, well, especially Toronto because they don't work. Tampa Bay has been outworking Montreal at times. Now, they didn't for the second half of game 2, but that's Montreal has to outwork because they're not as talented as these teams. They have to outwork them. They've outworked everybody. They have to want it more. It was a bad game, just bad breaks last night, just the way it is. And Tampa Bay's a Stanley Cup champion for a reason, right? They're the champs. You got to beat the champs. They've been there before, and Montreal hasn't. And maybe that little experience helped Tampa Bay yesterday, right? So, anyways, I'm quite pleased. It's going to be. It's not over yet, but I read some of those stats, so it's not looking good for Montreal. But we both know, John, lots of things happen in sports, and
he's got to play the game.
Hoping for a little miracle here, and who knows? Maybe my man Carey can stand on his head and not allow any goals, have a couple shutouts, and maybe something happens with Vasilevsky and he gets on the road and forgets where he is, or maybe gets into those Montreal bars and getting to eat all that good food. Maybe kind of puts him back a bit. I don't know. As obviously I'm joking, but
it's going to be fun to watch. That's for sure. Well, Buster, thanks for being on the show today. And guys, make sure you get over there for that $39 special. I mean, that's insane. 7 days for $40 basically. It's about $6 a day. It's actually less than that. So if it's 1 pint of beer per day. If you can't give that up for this guy, then there's something wrong with you. But we'll be back here at 4:00 Eastern Standard Time with Manny's Pub for Thursday, July 1, 2021. So on behalf of Don, Buster, and Buster Sports, myself, WagerTalk.com, SportsMemo.com, and this Predictive Playbook series of